Thanks for joining us, Callie. Tell us who you are and where you work.
I'm Callie Stain. I work at Sacred Heart Primary School in Roehampton. I'm the nursery teacher and also the subject leader of geography.
Thank you. So we've taken you to Palewell Park today for the first time, and we have got some resources that we're going to be sharing with teachers, the Teacher's Toolkit. When you're searching out as an early years teacher for places to take your children, what sorts of things you need to take into account?
Yes, so I think especially in the early years, we obviously do a lot of outdoor play during the day, which is really, really important. But we don't often take them into outside spaces, which is something that we really need to do more of and something that's really, really important. And I think the toolkit would just be empowering teachers to know, what are we doing in this space? Why is this space important? What are we looking out for? And how is the space relevant to our local community? And always just bringing it back to that. And letting children have a sense of belonging and knowing that the space, is on their doorstep and that they can visit it with their family and they, during the weekend or after school, because I think a lot of the times, families don't even know that these places, are around us. So I think, that's something, to also to empower parents as well and to help with that. And I just think, what is our purpose? What is our meaning of coming to this place?
And green spaces in Roehampton, there's quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Farms Common, there's Wimbledon Common, there's Putney Heath, Putney Common.
So many.
Yeah, and then we've got Palewell Fields and Palewell Common as well, perhaps the lesser known one, and that's part of our agenda. Yeah, really trying to get that one a little bit more well known. So in terms of your experience with children in Roehampton, what sorts of exposure have they got to this wealth of green space that we've perhaps got on our doorstep?
Yes, I think some do, and they, spend their weekends in the park and, enjoy exploring their outdoor spaces. But a lot of children don't know that these places even exist or that they are outside their flats. And so there is, there's a range of experience that we have. So, but I think mainly children tend to stick to the park that's next to school and they don't go anywhere else. So I think that this will be a great opportunity. And if we take the children, they go home and tell their mums and dads, or their carers that, we went to this amazing place today. Could we go and visit? And I think that would be great.
And how comfortable are they with water, with light, with being in a forest that's so tall? Are they comfortable with those sorts of forests?
I think, that's really interesting. I think, we obviously have mud and sand and all of those things in our outdoor areas, but that's often contained in a plastic container. Yes, we have like mud kitchens and those sorts of things. And we're really lucky at our school that we do have some really big open spaces. And we have outdoor learning and forest school. And we have animals, but I know that not every school has that opportunity. So, yes, they love water, but also teaching them to be careful around, open water and open spaces and those sorts of things is a lesson in itself. But I think they'll really, really love it. And it will be a memory that, they'll remember and something that I know they'll ask to go back to often.
And you probably do topics or themes like the rainforest and
correct,
worldwide biomes like that, cold places, hot places, dry places. Do you find any opportunities there to connect to those kind of distant, faraway places when you go to these more local spaces?
I think that so geography up the school, I think, teachers get really, I need to teach the curriculum and really focused, on that. And then we tend to forget to link it back to, how is this similar or different to where we live? And so always drawing on that experience of, where do we live? What is our place in the world? And so, they learn all of those things. But I think there is a real opportunity for teachers to think about, how is that relevant to the space that we have around us?
And do you think the idea that perhaps adults might have of Southwest London being quite green, quite an advantaged place in some ways to live, is something that the pupils realise, the fact that there are other children that might not have these green and blue spaces near them, or is that a little bit beyond their sense of place?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is a bit beyond their sense of place. I mean, obviously some children have experiences of going to different parts of the world. So will know that we are only a tiny drop. But I think, I was having a conversation with one of my 3-year-olds the other day, and they think that their house is a palace, and it's so big, and that, there's so much to it. And so that is their world, and that is what, they conceptualize. So, which is lovely, which is great, but also teaching them that that's, there's so much more beyond that. So I think there's a long way to go with that, but really important that we teach them a sense of the place in the world.
And just giving us a snapshot again of a kind of general picture of the children that you teach, of being under 5, how many of them have been abroad, would you say?
Yeah, not many. I think it ranges through the years. Sometimes we have quite a lot of children that have come from different countries, or families that live in different countries. They might have been born here, but they've got family that they go and visit, in parts of the world. But for a lot of children, no, they've never even been to the beach, So I think that, there's a lot. So when we talk about those things, it's really abstract for them. So it's really important that we provide those opportunities for them so that they have, they understand that, and they can have some of that experience.
And the idea of city and London and being the centre of the country, is that something that they ever have a sense of? And when do they perhaps gain that in the geography journey through the school?
Yes, so I think in the early years, we obviously talk a lot about that. We show them pictures, but it's only sort of when they get to Key Stage 1 do they really start learning about their local area and about London and the greater country and those sorts of things. And they learn that throughout the curriculum to Year 6. But yeah, I think when they in the early years especially, they really struggle with that sense. But definitely in Key Stage 1, I would also say in Year 1, they really start to, get an idea of London itself. And then we try our best to go on, local trips in the city so that they also get that sense. And it might not necessarily be a geography-related trip, but doing that field work and having that opportunity while we go to the place that we're trying to get to, whether it's the Science Museum or whatever it is, how do we get there and those things.
So we'll just conclude by some top tips for teachers in primary to try and connect to those local landscapes. What are your key ideas for teachers to be thinking through to really get them involved in perhaps considering a field trip and planning a field trip?
Yes, I think looking at your local spaces is number one, knowing what is out there that's on your doorstep that, you don't have to go far for you. It might be a 10-minute walk from your school, and not always just going to the big national parks, like for us, for Richmond Park, that there are so many other green spaces around us. So yeah, almost doing your homework and knowing what's around you and going to go visit, the place first, before, taking the children. And then I would also say, what is your sense of what you want to teach them? What are we trying to achieve here? Making meaningful for the children. Obviously, linking to the curriculum is important as a teacher. So what curriculum links is this providing? But also making it an experience for the children that they will remember and talk about, and that they can use that adventure or that experience in their everyday learning, where they can go write about it in English or do something like that, and doing lots of lovely cross-curricular things.
Well, that's what we hope the toolkit offers, because the storytelling, the story creation, the kind of creative sense of place that the student teachers came up with this morning should really help teachers see the possibilities there. Sometimes linking it to a text that they've got already. And one of the texts that we had this morning was the lost words, but also sometimes just being in that space for a considerable amount of time and looking and learning about a particular creature. And we've been learning about the stag beetle this morning, and kind of creating stories, creating a world for the stag beetle, and creating some sort of sense of jeopardy, some sort of sense of a problem, and then some sort of sense of resolution. That's hopefully what we put together as the toolkit. So we hope that that's really useful for you and useful for teachers nearby.
That sounds really good. I was also thinking that even like in Year 1, when they learn about weathers and seasons, going every season to look at a particular tree or a particular something, and, you know, then comparing it to how it was, you know, on our previous visit and those sorts of things is better than looking at a tree outside your classroom window. And I think that children will really have a good sense of that when they have that experience and that
That's the
opportunity.
thing, because we're very mindful that we've taken these materials in February before the trees are fully coming to buds. We've got some evergreen trees there, but it'll be very different in 6 weeks, 8 weeks' time. We can see a bit of blossom,
Correct.
we can see a bit of growth, but actually, yeah, seeing that tree through the year, seeing those bushes, seeing how things just burst into life.
That's it, yeah.
And that Easter will be really interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank
Good luck.
you.